All right, everyone, this is going to be your review for HED 241 Exam 1. So I'm super bummed right now. We did a blue button. Like 6 or 7 of y'all came on that. Went to publish it, and it says recording error. Not sure. We've contacted Canvas. Something's apparently going on with Canvas today. Go figure. So I apologize, but I have all of the questions that were asked, and I also have examples and different things that I gave them. So if you watch the blue button, you're welcome to listen to this again, but it'll probably be pretty much the same thing. So hopefully I can get all this done. I'm gonna be honest, I'm starving, you guys, because it's lunchtime, but I want to get this out to you guys, so you might hear me eating some. I'm going to apologize now. First, let's talk about the exam. It is 50 questions. True, false, matching, multiple choice. Definitely a lot of matching. Pay attention to the matching. You have 90 minutes. You can go back to a question. Once you answer the question, you can go back to it. You cannot close the exam. We had a problem with that in a different class. Don't close the exam, don't exit the exam, but you can go back to a question. You can skip a question and you can go back to it. You can answer a question and you can go back to it. You need the lockdown browser, not the monitor. The browser is what you needed for your syllabus quiz, so you should all have that. Make sure you have it all done before you start your exam, and don't wait till the last minute. That's another thing. Do not wait till the last minute. Sunday night at 10 o'clock, I am not going to be checking my email. I'm not going to be resetting it. Don't wait. I would take this test probably at the latest on that Saturday. That way, if we have a terrible storm, which we know knocks out internet, you at least have Sunday. Make sure you have good internet. Make sure you're not going to be interrupted. I know a lot of you have kids and families and everything else. Make sure you do it after the kids are asleep, or go to Starbucks or the library, or heck, go to McDonald's. They've got great internet most of the time. Go somewhere like that and take your exam. Somewhere with strong, reliable internet that you can trust. Your test is open note, open book. It is not, under any circumstance, open friend, open internet, open peer, open spouse, any other person. I will review the exams. If I notice, 2 people miss all the exact same questions and they started the test at the same time, you will get zeros. I will go through them all. Don't do it. That is kind of your exam. If you have accommodations, I did forget to mention this earlier. If you have accommodations, make sure you get those to me before the exam. If you've already gotten them to me, check your exam. It will tell you that you have additional time. If it does not say that, let me know. Don't tell me after you've taken the exam. All right, so the one question that I was asked, specifically like through email, was about unbiased and biased sampling. So what I did on the other review is go over a few things. So let's talk about unbiased and biased sampling again. Unbiased and biased sampling. This is what I want you guys to really know about it. An unbiased sample. All individuals in a population have an equal chance of being included as a participant. Okay, that means that you're not picking favorites, you're not just selecting your friends, you're not just selecting people near you, you're not selecting people in your class. It's representative of the population of interest. I think that's the problem. It's your population of interest. It does not mean your population of the world, of the country, of the state. It's your population of interest. So if your population of interest is MUW students, okay, then when you sample, every single MUW student has to have the same chance of being selected. That means you can't stand outside of Stark on Tuesday and get the first 15 people and say, this is my sample. That would be biased. Okay, because you did not give every student a chance. Some students maybe never come to campus. Some of y'all don't even live in the state of Mississippi, so you would not have a chance. Okay, so with the unbiased biased sampling, one thing is, I'm reading back through the examples I gave earlier. So if you said you wanted to sample MUW students, okay, if you said that your sample was randomly selected from all the MUW students, that means whether they're taking one class, whether they're taking 5 or 6, 7 classes, every single one of them has the same chance. Whether they are a public health major, maybe they are exercise science, it doesn't matter what their major is, they all have the same chance. It doesn't matter if they're undergrad or grad, every single one of them has the same chance. They're randomly selected through their emails. That would make it unbiased. Okay, that means all MUW students had the exact same chance, no matter of any other circumstances, because your population of interest was MUW students. Going through some more examples. What we did earlier was I went through your black book. I gave you guys a few of those examples. It was asked in the earlier session, and I'll do it, to give you guys the answers to 8 through 14 in your black book. So I will post those. And I'll post your rationale for why they are what they are. Okay, so the example I did in the review was question 10 on page 101 of your black book. You might want to get it out. It's probably easier to follow. So hit pause me and go get your black book. Researchers state that a randomized sample of 2,400 surveys were sent out to clinical psychology. Your sample size was 1,200. And clinical social work, sample size was 1,200. From all 50 U.S. states. Of those 2,400 surveys, only 711 were returned with usable data for a response rate of 29.64. Don't worry about the response rate, what that is specifically yet, because we haven't covered it. But this would actually be a biased sample because only some of the randomly selected participants returned the survey. So don't worry about exactly what response rate that is, but know that when only of the selected, some of them returned it. What you know is with a biased sample, we know that certain people are more likely to return surveys. So you kind of are automatically eliminating some people because of the way you're having to do it. I will tell you this, there's not a question nearly that specific on your exam. As I told them earlier, there are actually 2 scenarios, that's it, on your exam about biased, unbiased, only 2. There are a couple others on like definitions related to biased, unbiased, but there's only 2 scenarios. They are much easier than that one. I also did number 11. So researchers state participants were 230 first-year university students who responded to signs posted on campus or agreed to participate after being approached individually. Participation was anonymous and participants were paid $10. Okay, so we went over this one for a little while earlier. So the biggest thing you're going to see with this one is that it is biased, and it is biased because the signs were posted on campus or the participants were approached individually. Okay, so you're only allowing students that pass by. You know, if you put it in Jones, a lot of people have never been in Jones. I've never been in Jones, personally. So if you posted something in there, you're automatically eliminating me. If you people who are approached individually, that again means they had to be on campus on that day at that specific place. So an example I gave earlier, okay, was if you're wanting your population of interest is residents of Columbus, okay, and you're going to get your sample from going to Walmart and finding people, okay, that is going to be a biased sample. You're automatically eliminating people who maybe don't shop at Walmart. Maybe they only buy online. They buy from Kmart. They drive to Tuscaloosa and go to Target. I don't know. But you're automatically eliminating people who don't shop at Walmart. So that makes it biased. If your population of interest was examining the social economic status of individuals who shop at Columbus Walmart on a given day, then that sample is now unbiased because that is what you're looking for. You're looking for people. That is specifically what you're studying. You're studying people who are at Walmart on a given day, and that is your population of interest. Okay? Your exam questions, I will tell you, I think I tried to make them very straightforward as far as it goes with this. I don't think they're tricky. I really don't. I think that if you understand kind of the basics, you'll be fine on that. Do know the definitions of bias, unbiased, know why it's important to have an unbiased sample. Reading through the questions. So it was asked in the first session, because you cannot approach everyone, it is biased. Correct. It is not possible to walk up to every single MUW student, simply because a lot of you have never stepped foot on campus. So it's not possible to walk up to you on campus because you're not here. Okay? Perfect. So that is that. Let's talk a little bit about dependent, independent variables. Okay? Dependent, independent variables. Your independent variable is your treatment. Your dependent variable is your response to the treatment. Okay? Example I used earlier. You have a study that is examining the effects of alcohol on ability to drive. Alcohol is your independent variable. Your dependent variable is your ability to drive. Okay? Think about it this way. The more alcohol you have, that has a direct impact on the response, which is your dependent variable, which is your ability to drive. The more alcohol you have, the more likely you are to swerve. Another example, if you're thinking about study, you're looking at it, how the impact of a study guide on an exam. Okay, study guide is your treatment. The exam is your dependent variable. Okay, so study guide is your independent. Your exam is your dependent. Okay, so your dependent is dependent on the independent. So the independent is not relying on anything else. Okay, that's something that has already been put in there. Okay, you're looking at dependent, so how is that impacted? Think of it as cause and effect. Okay, know which one would be which. I did tell earlier, your independent variable is the cause. Your dependent variable is the effect. Okay, so think about that. Use that as another way to remember it. Margin of error. Okay, margin of error, there are some questions on your test that require you to do just a teeny tiny bit of math. I mean, it's not really going to kill you. I promise. It's not bad. So margin of error. If you said that you're looking at MUW students and you want to know how they feel about athletics coming back, and you said that 95% of MUW students are excited that athletics is back, and your margin of error is 3. That means you are confident that if you ask every single MUW student, not just those you sample, not just maybe the 100, 150 you talk to, that between 92 and 98% of the entire student body would also be excited. Okay, so margin of error is looking at how much you can relate it to your entire population from your sample. How confident are you that your sample accurately represents your entire population? So margin of error is an example of inferential statistics. Okay, this is another question. What was the difference between descriptive, inferential, and correlational statistics? Descriptive, exactly what it sounds like. It's describing the result, the data. Okay, it's an average. It's a range. It's telling you, how many people took the test. What was the average age? What was the, were there more guys or were there more girls that took the test? Their majors, anything like that. That's all descriptive. Okay. Correlation is looking at the relationship. Okay. It is looking at thinking kind of independent, dependent variable. What is the relationship? So if we talk about the alcohol driving thing again, what is the relationship between the amount of alcohol consumed and the ability to drive. Correlation, the relationship. It's a subset of descriptive statistics. Remember that. Correlations are a subset of descriptive statistics. Inferential statistics tell us how much confidence we have that we can, when generalizing from a sample to a population. Okay, so how confident are we that the sample is accurately representative of the population? That is an example, or I should say margin of error is an example of inferential statistics. It's the only one we've gone over right now. So it's the only one you need to worry about. That's the difference between descriptive, inferential, and correlation. Levels of measurement. Nominal, thinking names, thinking gender, thinking relationship status, thinking anything along those lines. Okay, thinking it's your major. I always kind of think of it as words, kind of how you would write out the response. That would be usually a nominal. Ordinal is order, putting things in order, ranking from high to low. It doesn't indicate how much higher or how much lower in relationship to one another. So if you said you were going to rank your favorite instructor, it doesn't mean that your favorite is like that much higher than your second, but maybe your second is really higher than your third. You can't stand the third one. Okay, so you're putting them in order, but there's no set difference between each one. Another example of ordinal is strongly agree to strongly disagree. Okay, it's kind of this range in there. Interval. Okay, remember interval and ratio are going to be numbers, and there's going to be the same difference between each point. Okay, think of an example as number of kids, which would be ratio. Ratio, remember, has an absolute 0. Okay, you can have 1 kid, you can have 2 kids, you can have 3 kids, you can have 20 kids, but you can't have half a kid. Okay, it's always going to be the same difference between each one. Let me find some of my other examples I gave on that one. Interval is going to be things like temperature in Fahrenheit specifically. Okay, know that Fahrenheit is interval. Okay, another example of interval, time of day, numerically speaking. Okay, you don't have a 0 time of day, but there's between 12:01 and 12:02 is the same space or time as between 12:05 and 12:06. There's still 60 seconds. Okay. Be able to place the scales of measure in order from lowest to highest. Okay. Know which measurement you want to attain, if at all possible. Going through stuff again. Know that samples give you statistics, populations give you parameters. Know the phases of planning. This was a question that was asked earlier that I don't really have on here. I have it listed, but I don't go into detail. Your phases of planning are in section 1. They begin on page 3 and they go to page 4. It's numbers 1 through 4. The first one is whom or what to observe. Okay, so researchers plan whom, how, when, and under what circumstances to observe. Those are the phases. The first one is whom. So this is known as your population. Who are you going to study? That's what you have to decide first. Who are you going to study? Okay, or what? Okay. 2 is how to observe them. Okay. Example would be, how am I going to give you your exam? Is it going to be multiple choice? Is it going to be true, false? Is it going to be matching? Am I just going to give you straight, short answer calculations? Okay. So how? Okay. So it's kind of it's the instruments, the measuring. When? When is it due? When are you going to have your exam? It makes a difference, right? If I give you your exam the first week of class, are y'all going to do very well? Probably not. Okay. That impacts it. It impacts the outcomes. So that's a when. Also thinking things like timing. Okay. If I give you an exam at 6 a.m., I'm not a morning person, so I wouldn't do well on an exam at 6 a.m. okay? Or a survey, because I'm probably just going to be thinking about going back to sleep. Likewise, if you give me an exam at 2 a.m., not happening, okay? You give me a survey, not going to do it. So when? Also, like, how that impacts it. You know, are you trying to observe the number of college students who are drinking, but you're trying to observe them at the bars downtown Starkville on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m.? Are there going to be a lot of people probably out drinking then? Hopefully, probably not. If you're looking at it maybe on a Saturday night after a home state game, you're probably going to see more. Timing's going to impact it. That's your when. 4 is your under particular circumstances. Okay? So under what circumstances are you making the observations? Okay? Thinking through like a survey. Are you doing a survey online? Okay? Under what circumstance? Are you doing an interview with lots of people? Are you doing it with one person? Okay? The main thing you need to know on those is just the basic definitions and the order. That's what I pay attention to. Correlation coefficient, knowing what 0.00 means and what 1.0 means. I would know that. Going back to our questions. The difference between descriptive, inferential, and correlation statistics. Okay, I kind of went over that. Descriptive, those are your averages, your range. It just tells you about it. Inferential is kind of like your confidence, is how I think about it. And then your correlation is your relationship. Let's see. Independent. I was asked to go over independent and dependent variables again, which I gave you guys kind of those examples that I went over with them later. But making sure, you know, you're thinking through independent, dependent variable, the treatment, the response, how one impacts the other, is your correlation. Okay, or if there is a relationship. Looking through your exam, let's see, what else can I tell you? No definitions. Pay attention in your white book on the outside columns, kind of like on the outside, there's little sentences that are italicized. I'd pay attention to those. I pulled a lot of your questions. I reworded them, but I pulled a lot of your questions from your, at the end of the sections activities that you did for homework. I would go through those. I'd read the ones, even the ones you didn't have to do. Go through those. Make sure you know. Also, make sure you have gone back into your assignments. Every single question that you have missed on an assignment, I have given you the correct answer. So when you go back in, you need to click on View Feedback, and you need to read what you got wrong and what the correct answer is. Okay, it took me forever to grade y'all's assignments, which is fine. Make sure you're reading them. Since I spent the time, please, please, please read them. Read them, read them, read them. Looking through my notes, what we talked about. You know, I know everyone's really stressed about the biased, unbiased. Again, there's only 2 scenario questions with that. Making sure you know the terms. If in their book they're italicized, you really need to pay attention to them. There's just small terms that I want you guys to know. There's also, within one of your lecture videos, it is not in your textbook, so make sure you've watched your lecture videos. If you have not, I recommend you watch them. There are definitely some questions, specifically there's one on validity, that is not in your textbook. But I gave you the answer twice in a lecture, so make sure you have watched those. Thinking through other things on the exam, take your time. I mean, you have some time. Yes, it's open notes. Yes, it's open book. But you don't have enough time to look through and try to find the answers and everything. Okay? You've got to know your material. Some of it is strictly application, which means if you don't understand the concepts, the book is not going to help you. Okay? The book is not going to help you on probably half of the test as far as being able to just flip open and find the answer. It's not in there. The scenarios, the answers are not in there. I didn't get the scenarios from the book. I made them up. So making sure you understand the concepts. That is pretty much everything we covered. I'm reading through everything again that we went through. If I'm going to post the answers, I think I said this, for the Black Book questions 8 through 14. I will post this video obviously as well. If you have other specific questions, I will be in the office. I have an appointment off campus at 2 o'clock today, but you can email me. I'll be answering emails after that. It should be done by about 3:30, maybe 4. And then I'll answer emails. And then tomorrow, Thursday, I will be in the office about 8:30 to about 3:30. So email me if you have questions. We can talk. I'll be back in the office I'm in the office Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So if you need something before your exam, let me know. Make sure you don't start your exam if you have accommodations and it doesn't look correct. If you have not given me accommodations, make sure you do that. That is, I believe, pretty much everything. I was able to go over faster with you guys, partly because I wasn't typing back and forth to everyone else, and I already had examples written down because I went over them with them. Yes, if you have other questions, please let me know. Again, I apologize that the Blue Button conference did not record. I promise, actually, you guys might have just gotten more information than they did, to be completely honest, but I can promise you didn't get less. I think I probably went over more with you guys just now. If there's something specifically you have questions about, let me know. If everyone likes this review, the Blue Button, I told them, I will do another one for your exam too. And I will try to find times, maybe, there were about 7 people that were able to be live, 7 or 8. So I'll still try to find maybe a time that's more convenient for everybody. I know it's really hard because some of you work nights, some of you work days, some of you have kids, some of you don't, some of you are in in-person classes. We'll try to work on it. I hope this review at least helped. Again, if you have questions, please let me know, and good luck on your exam. You guys are going to do great.